Stevens.
Here.
Tara Jenke. Here. Dallas Bond.
Here.
David Mackey.
Here.
And no Jennifer Stout is absent. We have Christina, Superintendent with us. Here. Okay. And first off, do we have a motion to adopt the agenda? Everybody.
I'll make a motion.
I'll
Do we have
second.
support? Is there any discussion on it?
Was that Steve seconded by Dallas?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Now we're gonna move on to public comment. Do we have any public comment?
I can go first.
Sure. Thank you.
Matt Zimmer, teacher here. Just a couple things on some good things happening in the school. First off, last trimester we had the seniors in an elective called Money Matters. It runs a Dave Ramsey curriculum. Really sets them up. There's no other part of our curriculum in a school that teaches students how they're gonna handle finances when they graduate, when they're on their own, how to pay for things, and really puts a lot of emphasis on avoiding debts, paying for things when you can afford them, and handling money and being responsible. So we had quite a few, most of the senior class go through that this year again. Really feel that we actually have some students practicing a budget right now. So when they are graduated, it's easy for them. So that's a big change in a lot of their lives. That curriculum is sponsored by the Michigan Tech Employees Credit Union. So if you ever have a chance to thank the credit union for that curriculum, it's absolutely fabulous and kind of bucks the trend about credit cards and a lot of those things, but it's a really good, really strong curriculum. A second thing going on, every Wednesday, the Honor Society is running something called Bolts Buddies, where the top seniors in a class, or the top seniors, juniors, and some sophomores in Honor Society are meeting with 7th and 6th graders at lunchtime, just kind of being a positive influence in their lives, encouraging them to do good, but really it's a social event for those kids, so they know that there's somebody that cares for me in that high school, and there's somebody in the school that's part of my family, and the young kids are running into my classroom for lunchtime on Wednesdays, ready to hang out with their buddy and play some Jenga or Uno or just have a good conversation. And something that's upcoming, one of our seniors is doing an independent study, and he's working on doing a podcast connected to the SOAR program and some of our modeling curriculum that we run. The main focus of that podcast is he's trying to inform the community of the things that are going on inside of our classrooms on a regular basis. Hoping to be a once a week type thing, and he's trying to set it up to when he graduates, another student can carry it on from there. So those are some really cool things, great things that are happening in our school that we want you to be aware of.
For sure.
Thanks.
Awesome. So
Awesome.
good. Thank you very much.
Matt, where would we find that podcast?
I don't know yet. That's actually part of his job, is to find the right kind of host that would be good for an educational style podcast and a community informing podcast, and make sure it's appropriate in the right ways for a public school, so.
As far as your credit card, grandson Ty is lecturing us all, get rid of our credit cards.
That's right, good to hear. Ty was one of my
Definitely take
top
it literally,
students.
yes.
He's
Yeah.
on it. If he can stay away from that, that's
Yeah,
one less
yeah,
trap
yeah.
that's gonna suck you down.
Yes, true. Do we have any other public comment? Hi, Jamie, yes.
Speaking of good things in our school, last week in our elementary was just fabulous. You could feel the excitement with Christmas approaching, and we had fun themed days for every day last week. And it was just fabulous. The kids came in just buzzing with their reindeer antlers on, and they're reading for Grinch. And then they were really excited for the Christmas concert that Mrs. Norland put on for everybody. They showed up in their beautiful and handsome outfits, and they were just all smiles. And it was the first time a lot of parents have been into the building since, was it March of 2020? So even seeing all the new renovations and our new K1 classrooms at the end of the hall, there was a lot of smiles and, wow, this looks so great. So there were, a lot of happy people all around last Friday afternoon.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
Thank you for sharing that. Wonderful news. Do we have any other public comment? All right then, we'll move along to consent agenda. Is there a motion motion to approve the items in the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion.
I'll support. Any discussion on the consent agenda? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. We move on to reports now. And we have Christina Superintendent.
As Jamie said, it was a really fun week leading up to the start of Christmas break. And a couple of unexpected things happened too. For example, the snow day on Thursday, which was terrible timing. It was one of those days where everyone was like, no, not a snow day, not today.
Yeah.
But it turned out okay, and everyone had a day of scrambling on Friday. The elementary kids kind of led the school in dress-up days, and the high school caught on a couple days in, hey, wait, we want to join in on this fun too. So then they were having fun with their pajama days and all too. Mr. Kentla and the high school leadership team and the high school faculty came up with an awesome day on Friday of a day of giving and fun. And so we had some seniors and juniors, or most of them, go over to Lake Linden to the green, what do you call it? Green Tree, right, and in Hubble, and they caroled from outside, and the residents opened up their windows and listened to that, and I understand that TV6 actually came and.
That was so nice. There's some comments about how long that wasn't kids to do that.
So the kids enjoyed it, and the residents enjoyed it, that was really special, and then there were a lot of fun activities. It was, there was a game of hide and seek going on throughout the school, and I just cracked up every time I heard over the announcements, all those who are hiding, please come out of your hiding spot. I'm like, this is the best place ever. This is happening during school day. Oh my goodness, it was so much fun. And then, as Jamie mentioned, we had an elementary Christmas concert. It was supposed to be on Thursday, but then we had it on Friday instead. It was so beautiful seeing these children and their smiling faces, so proud to sing and show off their moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas and everybody. And it was such a joy to be a part of that this year. So that was just a lot of fun, that final week before break. It was very crazy, but very fun. Week before that was the Bandwinter Concert, and so we say thank you to Alina Konchina, who was Amy Johnson's long-term sub, and her last day with us as long-term sub was Friday. And she had quite the job coming in and speaking English as her second language and trying her hand at substitute teaching for her first time, and she did a really nice job, and I want to say thank you especially to Amos Norland and Cody Ringler, who were big helps to her, she said many times in the classroom as leaders for the bands. So that was neat to see kids step up in leadership. We have a great basketball season underway. Our varsity and junior varsity boys and our girls teams are doing well so far this year. It's been fun to see the seasons begin, and we are super excited that our junior high boys basketball team just won the championship on Friday night, and it was actually, I think, their closest game of the whole season.
Wow.
They were down a pretty important player, but they managed to pull it off, and from what I understand, it's the first time in history that we've even come close to that. So
Wow.
we're all really, really proud of
Nice.
those kids and Mr. Halkala, the coach. Okay, and not such fun news. You, I'm sure probably all heard about the local threats that some of our schools experienced. Really, in the end, it turned out to be just one school. Lance, one of the students there, had posted something on social media that was viewed as threatening, and law enforcement was immediately involved, and they very quickly found out who the student was, who was behind that, and the student did later admit to it, but meanwhile, everybody in the area was really concerned, and the superintendents had an emergency meeting on Sunday with local law enforcement from the Home County Sheriff's Department and the Michigan State Police, and it was really, really good to see the response and everybody working together, and really the immediate support that we all received. A couple of other school names were mentioned just by kids who were talking back and forth on social media, so those schools whose names were mentioned were to have law enforcement there present the next day just to help put everybody at ease. But in fact, the departments came out with support for every one of the local schools. So when we got here the next morning, there was a patrol car outside, and that wasn't expected. It was just they decided to scramble and make sure all hands were on deck so that everybody in the county felt good and safe. So that was really nice to see how well supported we were. And there was, again, the the student who made the comment, the post on social media was really quickly discovered, and there was really no concern that anybody was in danger at any time, but the response that we got to see was really impressive. And then a few days later, terrible timing, but then there was this national TikTok challenge that students were encouraged to bring a gun to school, just to bring a gun to school and see what would happen if you could get away with it and so on. So luckily we didn't have anybody here doing that, but just crazy to think about the world that we live in right now. But
Crazy how they can get these guns.
it's,
Wow.
yeah, it's crazy times, but it's really nice to see people stepping up and taking things seriously and working together in the best way that we can.
Mhm.
So that was the positive side of all that. We have some teacher and staff changes. As I mentioned, Alina Konchina, our long-term sub, is no longer gonna be here because Amy Johnson, our music and band teacher, will be back with us on January 3rd, having been out on maternity leave with her healthy new baby. So we'll be happy to see Amy again. And Alina is in our system as a sub, so she may be back here and there in the classroom or in another capacity. We will have to see. And we're really sad to say goodbye to Gina Webben, who was a graduate of Dollar Bay a few years back and has been a phenomenal assistant teacher in the preschool. It's just been everything you would want for that position, but she is being called out to Wyoming, and so she's definitely actually already quite far away from us, and so we did post for that position as well as the elementary math position that we discussed at the last meeting. And we had a couple of good applicants, particularly for the preschool job, and we're just waiting to hear back from one of them at this point. We did not have anybody bite yet on the math parapro or general parapro if we decided to have our parapro Ray Laminen slide into the math position, so we're just kind of holding that out there and hoping that something materializes. I think that's it on staff changes at this point. Oh, but I did want to say that our new food service director, Jen Salo, is doing a wonderful job. We are working on trying to figure out the right amount of time to spend in the kitchen versus up here at the computer, because there is quite a bit of computer work involved with that job, and she's figured out all the systems at this point, and it's just making sure to get it done right. So that's been really good to have her with us.
Good to hear.
What did I leave out? Okay, so we had talked at the last meeting about hoping to be able to complete the Schedule B, where we had to add some definitions to several of those Schedule B assignments and change the A through C rates, but honestly, it's been too crazy. We did not figure out a time to sit down and go through all that together and want to get it done right, so we're gonna postpone that another month or so. And as you know, we're on winter break right now. It's very quiet around here during our winter break. There are 2 weeks off again this year, so we anticipate a couple of improvements happening. If you had any need to go to the second floor today, you would find it very difficult to traverse the hallway because the carpeting has been ripped out. That has needed to be replaced for quite a long time. It's gonna be really nice to have the new carpeting in there. They're working on the abatement tomorrow, and then it will be in before everybody returns. And we will have one of Moyle's subcontractors coming and doing a little bit of work in the lobby as well. I think that is it. Are there any questions from anybody? Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to reports. Oh, I'm sorry, action discussion items. So do we have a motion to approve policy updates as recommended by Neola? And there's a whole lot of numbers here. So I can make that motion.
I'll support it.
Is there any discussion on these policies?
I can give a quick
Okay.
summary, just letting you know or reminding you, board members,
This is
that
where the noise is coming
just depending
from.
on when, when the legal experts determine that it's necessary, we need to update our policies from time to time. Basically, they're really minor changes this time, changes to wording and just changes based on updates to laws and that type of a thing. Danielle and I met with John Barr, who's our local Neola rep, I don't know, 3 weeks ago or something like that, and he just went through these with us. They're just the standard ones. All the local schools are adopting the same updates, nothing really unique about Dollar Bay, as I recall, right, Danielle? Basically, we went with all the recommended changes that Neola gave us, so that's about it. And these are the summaries that John recommends that we share because they're just a lot more manageable. There's a stack if you wanted to look at them in greater detail. That's always available for us in the superintendent's office, but these are just the summaries. So that's it.
So, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. So, we're gonna move on down to old or new business. Do we have any to discuss? Oh, well, I guess we're gonna move on down to adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
And I'll support. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes. It's just a meeting shorter. Well, thank you, everyone. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Great news.
Yeah.
Yes, for
Good
sure.
news, good stuff happening.
Yeah, 2022.
I wanted to add about Matt's comments about the Money Matters class. That this is the second year we've run it. The first year Mrs. Hill taught it, and then this year Mr. Zimmer's, and my son John Paul was one of the seniors last year, and he would come home talking to us about how terrible credit cards were, and how important it is to be saving, and how much is in your checking account, and that sort of thing. So that was really neat. So
They're very animated about it.
yeah,
Very serious.
it's really important. I really appreciate that.
It was very effective, just so you know.
Yeah.
Start those conversations.
Yes. Jamie, I want to say thank you again for that daughter moment.